Welcome everyone to the People of the Future channel. My name is Dallas. I'm the host of the show and a co-anchor of Common Healing. Common Healing is a participatory world-building studio where you, people of the future, are invited to rest, play, dream, and create liberation with us. An interview format show, short form, not going to take up much of your day, but hopefully is packing a lot of offerings for you to be mindful, create, and dream up liberation where you are. This happens in the form of interviews with people who inspire me and us at Common Healing. We hope you'll take time to engage with every element of these offerings. Each episode ends with a meditation or tarot reading, sometimes both. So lots in here for you. We're excited. We hope you engage with us. Keep following us on our various platforms, which will be linked here, there, and everywhere. Let's get into it. Okay, this is very exciting because this is our first episode. So, woo, butterflies. In this episode and the next four following, we will be interviewing Analise, who is the brain parent of Common Healing, and how Analise got to world building, why world building, what is world building. So you're going to learn all about that through the next few episodes and onward. There's plenty in here for you. Let's check it out. All right, so let's get started with your intro. Who are you, Analise?
I'm a cooperative choreographer and producer working towards healing and resilient futures. And I am getting more and more into filmmaking as a dialogue with my ancestors. I write to make sense of interconnectedness and modernity. And I'm learning how to play banjo. And that's also a dialogue with my ancestors. That's a dialogue with the diaspora. And very much like a moment of getting out of my head. I'm so like cerebral and I think a lot a detriment, which is why embodied practice is so important to me. Um, Coming out of my headspace, my thinking mind, and coming into like my body and my feeling space. So really appreciate practices that allow me to do that, and love that this thing we're building is a forever reminder of that.
With that, what's your journey been to world building?
I'm remembering like when me and my sister were kids. I'm specifically remembering a dollhouse, and my sister's just under 2 years younger than me. And I would spend hours like setting up the scene. Like I would be like putting the people in the rooms and just like structuring everything. And then that would be my play. And then by the time I had done all this, I was done because it had taken me hours. And that like continued. I remember we had like a dollhouse and I would do that. And then my mom got us this like Bratz mall. I don't know if you remember like Bratz dolls. Um, and like Polly Pocket. And I would always just like create the reality that they existed in. And my sister used to be so mad, and she would like knock it all down. Like she'd be like, there's like videos of her like sticking her hand in like through the windows of my dollhouse. And I'm just like, what are you doing? But that definitely feels relevant to like the work I do today. Just kind of like that structuring and like creating the containers that hold life. And I was actually talking to my mom when she was like visiting a couple months ago about world building and just like this idea and like what we're working on. And she was like, "Oh, like the book you loved as a kid." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Yeah, there was this book. It was like a huge deal. You were telling my great aunt about it, and she was a school teacher, so she got it and read it and like wrote me a letter, and it was like this whole thing because I was like really passionate about it." And it's this book called Westlandia, where this kid feels like an outcast in his civilization. So he creates a staple food crop and builds his own civilization around it. That included like commerce and sport and language and all these different aspects of culture and society. And then the kids that used to like bully him like all wanted in on this new world that he created. And so just her telling me that was super affirming. I still don't remember like my experience of engaging with it, but then I went and like listened to an audio recording of it on YouTube, and I remember the story. I think it was just interesting. My mom was like a keeper of that, I guess, link of this thing I'm doing now, like back to my childhood.
So I love that Analise shares this moment of coming to world building, but places it in her childhood. How often do we think about our child selves and how they're still at work with us as adults? So this is the first journal prompt for you. What's something that was a childhood delight that you think about or don't think about very often that you can recreate for yourself this week? Journal about what it was that you loved doing as a kid. Maybe you haven't done it in a little while. Maybe it's evolved since you're an adult now, if you're an adult. And how can you let yourself enjoy that this week? Let us know in the comments. I did a lot of digging holes as a kid, so I think I might go play in the dirt later. Now that you've gotten your journal prompt down, maybe you've started writing some ideas and you can finish it later. We're gonna go into our reading now. Let's see what we've got.
Hello, world builders. Oracle at the Sanctuary here with a collective reading. Tarot for world building is neither predictive nor prescriptive. It's an offering of perspective, a tool you can leverage as you lean into your interconnected sovereignty. Let's get into it. The Four of Wands. I love thinking about the wands as life force. I love that they represent that they are something solid, but also kind of ambiguous, but often show up as structure, even though they relate to something that we can't see. Our life force, our energy isn't tangible, but the way we channel it, the way we work with it, can either create or destroy very tangible aspects of our lives. And for the Four of Wands, we see four wands, sturdy. We can think of a table, and a table is held because of four legs. So we can think of stability when we think of this card. If we look back at the Three of Wands, a person looks out, three wands by their side, and is clearly about to embark on a journey. The Four of Wands is almost a sort of arrival. It's leaning into a sturdiness, a foundation, and a base from which to continue moving forward. We've gathered at this point. We have at this point. We see the castle behind the people who are standing together and raising what seems to be bouquets above their head. There's some sort of ceremony happening here. But what's interesting is what follows after the Four of Wands as well. And that's the Five of Wands, which is, we see clashing, is what's depicted on that card. And I think the invitation here is to be with stability in all the ways that we can access it, but to stay flexible, to stay malleable, because what held us at one point can very much become challenging, constrictive, uncomfortable. It can poke, it can prod, it can no longer fit. We see spaciousness here in this card. Allowing this card to be an invitation to embrace the space that comes from being sturdy, grounded, but also not to expect that to be any sort of permanence. To allow that to shift. To know that at some point we may not feel grounded. We may step off a proverbial cliff. We may walk into unknowns We may have to hang out in the liminal space. But for now, in what ways can you really sit on your base? In what ways can you feel into the earth holding you? In what ways can you look at your surroundings and name, identify, appreciate, hold gratitude for what is holding you, for what is secure, and for what is stable now, without needing to attach to that?
Great readings by Oracle at the Sanctuary. Really grateful for that. And going back to your journal prompt, thinking about how can your child self help you through those unknown times? What's the wisdom that child self is holding? Had a great time talking with Analise. I hope you had a great time listening. That's our show for the day. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next episode.